Guys, what's going on? Doug here, Recording Connection Audio Institute. We're going to take a quick look at the Structure program, the Structure plugin, rather, which is awesome, by the way. So Structure is a free sampler that comes with Pro Tools. To get started, we're going to go ahead and insert it on a track, and then I'll just walk you through the various items that come up. It comes preloaded with a sine wave, so you can instantly start playing, different tones. So over here is your patch section. Now, a patch is generally a series of samples, and you have a lot more flexibility with these samples when you have the full version of Structure. But I'll show you kind of how to navigate through that and to upload your own patches and things like that. So it comes preloaded with a sine wave. On the patch itself, you have access to a solo, a mute, and these are handy because you can actually layer patches together so you can have multiple notes triggering multiple patches at the same time. Then there's a fader here in the center that adjusts the volume of that particular patch, and then there's also a pan knob here. You can switch patches by clicking this drop-down menu and then choosing from any one of a ton of patches that come preloaded. With your Pro Tools loops. So anything from drum loops, to real sounding instruments. Let's see, there's a steel string acoustic guitar. So very cool. What you want to be mindful of is the options that come up once you've loaded a patch up. So I've got this steel string guitar here. But also, I can change the way that behaves based on one of two windows, okay? The first, I'll go from left to right here. I can transpose that. So I can actually take it up an octave. So I'm just hitting the same key. You can see that by looking down here on this section. I'm hitting the same key, but based on... or you can transpose it by semitones, which is really, really cool because let's say you wrote something in a particular key and you want to, transpose that, maybe a couple semitones, but keep everything, in relative to each other as far as note progressions and things like that. Moving things up a semitone actually really, really helps. So you can actually do that just by hitting this here. Then there's fine-tuned pitch adjustments that can be made as well. Same thing for effect and different things like that. The cool thing about this window is all of these are mappable to your, and then again, let me just zero this out. Another useful tip is anytime you want to zero something out, you've made adjustments, you want to go back with zero in Pro Tools, if you hold Option and click on it, it will return to the 0 point. This goes for the fader positions on your tracks as well. So here, I've just made a fader adjustment. If I use Option, click that, it goes back to the 0 position. So that's definitely a useful tool there. So again, any one of these knobs are mappable, okay? So I can right-click the knob, and then I can map it to a knob that's actually on my keyboard. So I do that, right-click it, and then it's basically what you do is you move it, and then you map it, and then you move the knob. Once you've hit Learn MIDI CC and you move a knob, that knob becomes responsible for. So there's that. So the pitch bend here deals with the pitch bend knob on your MIDI controller. Now, when it says up 2, that means it goes up 2 semitones at the top position, but I can actually change that to be 24. So now, it goes up 24 semitones, which is 2 octaves. 2 is good for now. Right here, the amount of voices that is taken up. Now, without getting too technical, each sound in Pro Tools is a voice, right? So you're usually able to categorize virtual instruments in two main kind of categories. The first one is polyphony, and we've kind of went over this a little bit, and in this particular chapter, polyphony means polyphonic. Rather, instruments are instruments where you're able to play multiple instruments or multiple sounds at the same time. So I can hit all of these keys. So I can do chords that way. And I can hit all of the notes at the same time. But if it's an instrument is monophonic, let me turn monophonic on. Actually, let me switch patches here to a synth sounding so you can kind of get a good sense of that. So I'm going to change this to polyphonic so I can hit multiple notes at the same time. Now, when you do that, it requires more voices from Pro Tools. Each track, each sound in Pro Tools uses what's called a voice. So if I change this to multiple voices, that means I can just add more notes. Basically, the amount of voices that I'm using for this would dictate how many notes can be pressed at the same time. Okay, let's go back now to monophonic, and just so you can hear what that sounds like. So what happens is when I have one note pressed and I hit another one, it goes down to that note that is pressed. It doesn't matter how many keys I have held down. It doesn't matter how many keys I have held down. It only plays one note at a time. So glide means that once I switch from notes, in between notes, it will literally glide up from the one I'm pressing. So here how it kind of slides up. You can actually increase that. So a glide determines that when you switch notes, there's a kind of a slide that takes place. Okay, so that is this first edit window here. You can change all of those things. Now, all of these can be mapped to a MIDI controller, to a knob on your MIDI controller, and you can actually adjust those real time while you're playing or while something's playing back, which is really, really cool. The second edit window here has to do with kind of like an effects section. So you can actually employ a filter type, and then you can change the envelope of that filter. Basically, that just gives you some tonal adjustments. So really quick, this one uses a low-pass filter, but if I change it to a high-pass filter, it changes the sound. So I can actually lower. It's because the high-pass filter is basically blocking out all of the low frequencies that are coming through. I can also adjust the envelope of that high-pass filter. Let's get this. So there's some tonal adjustments that take place there. Same thing goes with the amplifier. So this would actually be kind of a cool thing to automate. So if I go ahead and change this. And unfortunately, none of the parameters on this page, and I think it's just the case for the free version, none of the parameters on this page you're able to map to a MIDI. I don't know why that is, and I've actually looked for workarounds, but none of them are. You can't map any of these. This would actually be a cool one to map. You could kind of create some dubstep wobbles there. Anyways. So that's the second edit section here. Also, on the bottom, each patch comes with smart knobs. Now, this is where it gets a little bit ridiculous because on these smart knobs, if you load a patch, like if I load a new patch here, you know, all of these, you notice that the knobs change, but there is no literature anywhere that shows you how to create your own patches and then assign different parameters. So I can actually map this to my MIDI controller. So I can adjust the bass while I'm playing. So that's just increasing the bass. So, but I can't, I can't do that for my own patches that I create. So, you know, a good thing to do is just to play around with these things and see what they do. So that's actually a pretty cool thing to automate. And again, you can automate any of these parameters by you know, grabbing any of these and then putting them over here. But we'll talk more about automation later. Really quickly, last thing we're going to cover is that, you know, Structure is cool because it not only enables you to use the patches that come with Structure, but also you can employ the use of patches from certain other DAWs or third-party plugins. So, namely, you know, the Logic sampler, which is the ESX24, you can use the patches here, or even more cool is the fact that you can use Kontakt patches. Kontakt is a Native Instruments sampler, which is awesome. So you can actually employ the use of those here just by loading a new patch. Let me go up here. So here are some, this is actually some samples that I created or a buddy of mine helped me create. So here are different samplers that you can be used. So I can actually open up a Kontakt sampler and, you know, grab one of these patches and then it will automatically upload. I just need to delete this one, make sure this is on my first channel here, and so all of these samples are now live here and I can adjust those any way I want. You can also create your own patches. So let's just do that really quickly. Come over here to the browser window. I'm going to grab something from my desktop. Just grab. So here is Mac HD. So you can literally grab any audio sample and create a patch with it. Here's hip hop sample. We'll use this one. And then we'll throw that one in there too. M9 in my speaker. M9 in my speaker. So let me change this one over to 1 and we'll turn this one off. My 9 millimeter. 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 My 9. So the way this would work is because I have two patches set up, I want them both on the same channel. This key range, which we haven't talked about yet, determines at what point a certain key will play. So if I move this over halfway, let me do it this way. So half. Okay, then I come up to this patch, and I move this one down to here. So I basically split my keyboard. My 9 millimeter and my 9 in my speaker. My 9 millimeter and my 9 in my speaker. My 9 millimeter and my 9 in my speaker. So I could actually, you know, my 9 millimeter and my 9 in my speaker. My 9 millimeter and my 9 in my speaker. So, I mean, I can play around with this all day. And basically, I just took a sample and chopped it up and I put it on here. But I can do it. So, I mean, you can have a lot of fun with this, and you can actually trick things out and do things. So, you don't get too much flexibility as far as the free version goes to, create multi-sample patches and things like that. But if you just want to use this for a quick, okay, I need a sampler.
My 9 millimeter and my 9 in my speaker.
I mean, this is about as good as it gets, man. So this is definitely a very, very cool plugin to check out. Lots of presets here. In the drop-down menu here to play with. Lots of things to listen to. Definitely check this out. That's it, guys. Take care.